Life's this game of inches. So is football. Because in either game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. I mean, one half a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us.
Welcome into the Gibson Fantasy Football Podcast.
Woo!
Woo!
Little delay. Woo.
Yeah.
I like it.
Well, another Wednesday, December 14th. 11 days till Christmas. It's a crazy time of year.
Football game Thursday, football game Saturday, football game Sunday.
You know, it's late in the season when there's football on Saturdays.
Yeah, you know it's getting there.
It's crunch time now.
Oh, for sure it is. Unless you're like the Eagles and pretty much have your playoff already secured.
Well, they do, but they want that one seed.
Oh, yeah.
I still got the Vikings and Dallas chasing them in terms of record. Really only the Dallas chasing them in terms of talent, but, you know.
For sure.
They still got something to keep playing for, at least for now. We'll see. It's going to be until they play Dallas next week.
Yeah, it'll be a good game. Should be.
This week, I'm sure they'll be just fine. But next week when they play Dallas, if they beat Dallas, that means they will have beat them twice. They have the tiebreaker. They'll be like 3 or 4 games up on them. It's over at that point. Then they've got the one seed.
But, yeah. Unless the Dallas team that shows up that was playing this week.
Oh, God.
Because if they show up, they're going to be in some hurt.
It was all kinds of ugly.
Yeah.
Probably should have lost that game, but at the end of the day, we'll forget about it in a few weeks once the playoffs are going, and we'll be like, oh, yeah, Dallas, they're a good team.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, GibsonFantasyFootball.com, Gibson_FF on Twitter, and Gibson Fantasy Football, all one word, Instagram, YouTube, Podbean, and Spotify. We are here. We are ready. And it's playoff time. Not in our league, but in many leagues, it's playoff time.
Yeah, it's the start of the playoffs for some. For others, it's crunch time because it's the last week and you want to get in there. So,
yeah, some folks are sitting on a bye week, which is kind of the situation in our league, which is unusual. Mm-hmm. But we'll chat about that later on. But first, we got to recap what was. So we'll get to week 15. Lots of interesting games and fun matchups coming up. But first, we have to celebrate, if you will, or perhaps the word celebrate is not the right word, but we must do what we do here.
Yeah, right.
Oh, Kreger.
Mm-hmm. It's got to be the lowest score of the season.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty.
No.
For sure.
For him, but for me it was.
Yeah, we might as well start with that, seeing as how that was the matchup. You two came in. We knew what was at stake. You were clinching, a playoff spot with a win essentially because you'd be knocking Craig out, and then it would just come down to Evan. And yeah, Kreger, man. Wow. I mean, Keenan Allen was good. Joe Burrow was good. That's probably the end of the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I scored a high week, but I didn't have a whole lot of players that showed up either. So, I mean, if he had a complete team, he would have definitely taken me. But, I mean, 140 is a pretty high score, but it was pretty much 1, 2, 3, 4 guys basically that did it for me. And other than that,
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Higgins went down early, 0 points.
Killed so many people, man. Yeah, Waddle, another one.
Pittsburgh
Waddle and Higgins, man. Oof. Yeah, I mean, Pittsburgh D, you figured more from them against Baltimore, but I guess, could have seen that one coming a little. But the Waddle and Higgins thing, that was just brutal for people.
Yeah, not good. If I had played, at least if I had played Mixon and I played Connor, I don't know if I could have done that. Oh, no, I couldn't have done that because one's a wide receiver. But yeah, it would have been better. It would have been a better play, but it is what it is. I still got the win, still got the playoff.
That's right. You got the job done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, on the other side, Kreger's list of bust people, some not surprising, Drake, Darius Slayton, Mac Hollins. Some a little more surprising, Marquise Brown, George Kittle, Saquon Barkley. Although Barkley, they pulled him out because he was already banged up and they were losing that game by a lot immediately.
Yeah.
So,
can't
do much about that.
He hit a bye week. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players all on buys. So
yeah,
that hurts.
That does. That's unfortunate for him because he needed that win to stay alive.
Yeah, poor timing on that one. So
yeah, he didn't fare so well, man. On the other hand, as there always is, there's someone who did fare well.
Yeah.
We'll get to enjoy the fruits of that here now. Just take it easy. It's all good. It's my theme song this week,
Yeah,
cruised into the playoffs, locked in the seed.
Yeah, go ahead. Take the number 1 spot. I've been there where I've been number 1. We'll see.
Yeah, it doesn't guarantee anything, but it does feel good, and it's nice to know. Nice to lock that up. 159.78, so almost 160, and then Dawn, another rough week, but thankfully didn't wind up the loser of the week. But I mean, she got killed by the Kyler injury. The kicker was on a bye. I think she was just kind of calling it a day at that point. But she got a nice name from Tyreek. Debo got in the end zone before he got hurt. Adam Thielen had a good day. Freiermuth gushed in on the score. Hopkins, not bad. So, it was all right from her end of things. But, I mean, for me, Jefferson, man, 11 for 223 yards. That's crazy.
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey, too, went off.
Yeah, found the end zone twice.
Jamar
Chase. Once Higgins went down and Boyd went out, it was Higgins' time, and Metcalf got back in the end zone. Defense and kicker did all right, and Zeke got in the end zone, and Herbert threw at a 367 and 1. So, everything was exactly the way I needed it to be.
Yeah, good week for you. Good week.
Yeah, I mean, CeeDee Lamb was the biggest kind of disappointment, but we kind of knew he might not do much against Houston, although it was a competitive game, so it wasn't because of the game script. But he was really the only bust there.
Even Zeke got the more carries this game. I mean, it's a
he
hard
got
one
in
to
on
choose.
his fifth goal line try.
Yeah,
After we watched him fail 4 times in a row. Gave him another try at the end. Yeah, he got the game-winning touchdown, so I'm sure he's just fine with that. So that means I'm the 1 seed. You're in the playoffs, but there are 2 other matchups.
Mm-hmm.
So Jay needed to give himself a chance to stay alive as well. And he did just that. He took down OMG, who scored 91. He got 129 up. Pretty nice day from his lineup. Gino was good again, 264 and 3. AJ Brown, 4 for 71 and 1. Derrick Henry, man, and he lost 2 fumbles in that game. The guy doesn't fumble very often. So that was and then that game, he could have had like a lot more points if that game would have gone the way it looked like it started there. But he fumbled, and then Jacksonville started coming back, and then Tennessee had to try to air it out. And so Henry probably should have had an even better day. Josh Jacobs on Thursday was lighting it up. Pacheco was pretty good. And then, this defense, Kansas City against Denver, that worked out because they scored a touchdown. Tucker did all right. Andrews was a real disappointment along with Christian Kirk. So, those 2 kind of hurt. But
I forgot to mention when we were looking at my team, my tight end went off finally.
Oh, man.
Tight end.
You didn't talk about Evan Engram.
Yeah, I didn't want to curse it. Maybe that's I just cursed it now. I just did it.
Highest scoring player on the week. Yeah, we didn't really talk about your studs. Mahomes was good. Sanders with 144 and 2 on the ground. But Evan Engram, Tony Pollard got in there twice. Evan Engram was the man. 11 for 162 and 2 is the highest scoring player on the week, and probably the highest scoring player of tight end of the year, and depending on what that Hawkinson score was back in whatever week that was.
Right.
But I think you might have bested him.
Yeah, I can't believe it.
So I mean, you've been talking about not getting much from your tight end, and it all came in one foul swoop there. Jesus.
Yeah, I almost dropped him. I was close to dropping him, and I just he had a pretty decent week the week before, so I'm gonna ride with him.
He scored the touchdown last week, right? And so you're like, well, all right, he got in the end zone. I'll just chase the touchdown and see what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll see. You gonna leave him in there this week? I guess it doesn't matter too much, but.
Oh yeah, I'll leave him in there. I mean, why not? Got him.
Ride him out. I mean, on ONG side, nothing really went right. Josh Allen had a decent game because of the rushing touchdown again. Devonta Smith got in the end zone. And that's really the end of the story. Adams with a terrible game. Palmer didn't get much going. Singletary couldn't get much going. Hawkinson was okay. Lost the fumble, though. Just didn't have the lineup to really compete.
No, it didn't show up this week, so.
And last but not least, we're going to look back at this. Maybe next week we'll do this as our last segment of looking back at close wins. But Dan versus Evan, man. Whoo-wee.
Yeah.
It was tight. So, I mean, it was kind of back and forth there. Dan got a 30 spot from Hurts early, kind of made it look like it was going to be a sure thing. But that 49ers game that was going on in the afternoon there, his defense was just getting torched, the Tampa Bay defense. They actually lost him 2 points. And then Godwin wasn't doing a whole lot. So things were starting to kind of trend poorly for him. But unfortunately for Evan there, he just couldn't get anything going. Juju had a big touchdown to try to keep him alive, but Kelsey did enough to keep himself going. And Butker, the kicker for Kansas City, was really the one that closed it out for Dan.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, all said and done, 102.58 to 101.46. Basically 1 point was enough to secure Dan the 2 seed and to knock Evan out of contention.
Yeah. Close one. Dan's been in a few close ones this season, and he's come out on top. So, I mean.
Yeah, and Evans had 3, heartbreaking losses that have been real close. So, I mean, it just tells you, right? If those three for each one swing, and Dan was all of a sudden 7-7, and Evan was 9-5. Now you're swapping it. Evan's in the playoffs and Dan's out, right?
Yeah, Evan's got a pretty decent team. I mean,
losing Cup, I think, is what killed him down the stretch there.
Yes. Yeah. I was just looking back at this team because that duo was deadly.
Yeah, the Cup and Diggs. And Diggs had nothing this week because he got shadowed by Sauce Gardner, and the game was weathery and just not a good time for him.
Yeah.
But so that was all the craziness that we endured last week. Let's flip over to what's going on here. And unfortunately, part of that craziness was injuries. So the biggest one, Kyler Murray, torn ACL, done for the year, and probably going to miss the opening of next year. Maybe will be healthy. We'll see what the timeline's like. But
yeah,
definitely not going to be running around too much in that first month or so of the season.
No.
And it's brutal, man. I mean, the team's basically already out of the playoffs, entering the game. He's had some injuries, but
tough year because it seems like too there's a bit of a disconnection between them and the coach, and it's going to be an interesting offseason in Arizona to see if maybe they stick with Cliff, if they decide to go somewhere different. I think they're going to try to ride with Murray, so it's going to be an interesting offseason for them.
Yeah, I don't know, man. There was talks of them maybe luring Sean Payton out of retirement and seeing if he would take over, but he's not going to do that if the quarterback's not healthy.
No, he won't. So
he'll just wait for a better opportunity.
Yeah, New Orleans.
Yeah, right.
Let's just take over New Orleans.
Still under contract there, but
yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, Kyler, that one sucks. This sucks for everybody. Hopkins, Brown, probably not Connor. It's probably good news for Connor because they'll run the ball more. But
yes,
yeah. Other than him, it's downgrade for everybody. Colt McCoy is okay, but he's not Kyler.
No, Colt McCoy is the ultimate backup quarterback. That's what he's become in this league. Great college, but
yeah. Rondell Moore got put on the IR, so he's done for the purposes of fantasy because he'll miss at least 4 weeks. Debo is also going to miss at least 3 weeks, probably more, so he's done for the purposes of fantasy playoffs coming forward. We're waiting to see if Lamar can get back. CEH is still on the IR. Khalil Herbert's maybe going to come off this week or next week. Damian Pierce is expected to miss a week or two. Russ is still in concussion protocol, probably going to miss. And then there's a bunch of guys we're not really sure about. Kenneth Walker looks like he's going to suit up. Travis Homer looks like he's going to miss. They play tomorrow. Burks is still in a concussion protocol. Tony, they're not sure about. Cortland Sutton might come back. T. Higgins, we don't know now with the re-injury. Cooks and Nico Collins for the Texans. Looks like Nico might come back. I think Cooks is just going to sit out the season at this point.
Yeah.
Why risk injuring himself if he might try to get traded in the offseason? Jeff Wilson Jr. for the Dolphins got hurt. Tyreek Hill's dealing with a bit of an injury. We saw him hampered in that game, the ankle. Ramondre Stevenson went down last Monday's game with an ankle. Damian Harris is trying to come back for that team. Mecole Hardman's trying to make his way back for the Chiefs. Dallas Goedert got activated off the IR, but he has 21 days to be active. Same with Waller and Renfro. Amari Cooper's banged up. Freiermuth's banged up, and Tyler Boyd had the finger injury.
Woo! That's take a breather. Oh, man, that's a lot of injuries.
Yeah. And that's like fantasy relevant players that people want to, might be playing or need to know about.
Yeah, but can also boost your team. I mean, that's kind of the dark side of fantasy, I guess, a little bit. But like you said, Connor would probably be a good play. Waddle would be a good play this week.
If he's healthy too. He's another one that was banged.
Yeah, if he's healthy. That's someone's going to play for deep Miami down there. We'll probably Tyreek Hill, I see suiting up. Who else was there too to play? Oh,
Yeah, I mean, like opportunities, right? So if Boyd or Higgins miss, the other one gets a boost playing beside
yes.
Jamar Chase. If they both miss, if Hayden Hurst, the tight end, is active, he gets the boost.
Mm-hmm.
Amari Cooper, if he misses, Donovan Peoples-Jones and Njoku. If Waller or Renfro come back, you might see some targets come away from Adams or Jacobs. Probably more likely it's Matt Collins, but Foster Moreau would be no longer relevant.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then at the same time, you look for opportunities, right? So if Stevenson and Harris can't go, you got guys like Pierre Strong that take over as the running back to pick up. We've seen that happen, right? Last year was Rashad Penny, who down the stretch run,
Yes.
ended up being the guy, and because Chris Carson was out, and I think either Homer or Dallas was out too at that point, and he just went ham and ended up being the number one running back throughout the 3 playoff weeks. So
Did you pick him up or did I pick him up?
one of us did.
Yeah. I may have
Him
had
and-
him and then I dropped him. It might have been
Him
that
and
way.
Singletary were the other one. Tupin Singletary for Buffalo was the other down the stretch
Yes.
guy. Both of them were on waivers, and one of us got, I think, one of each of them. But.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty impressive last season. So,
And there was a game with Justin Jackson when he played for Austin Eckler last season as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, yeah, playoffs, that's the other thing too, right? Like the team you came to the playoffs with doesn't have to be the team that you can win with, because you got to be out there looking for those gems and those pickups thinking, hey, maybe this person slots in for 1 week and wins me a matchup, and I can throw them back to the curb if I don't need them.
But that's it. Take a look at the preview for if you're not in the playoffs this week, or you're in next week, whatever. Take a look at the preview, and see who the guys are playing. So if there's some tough matchups, you just may want to go grab one of those guys and just see, because sometimes the team's playing a really good defense, and maybe if you have Waddle or somebody, I'm just using him, but just because he's on my team. But if you have a matchup and he's going up against a tough D that plays really well against wide receivers, I mean, might as well take a risk.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that was injuries. Survivor picks. Well, I poorly invested my trust in your Raiders, which has now broken my streak.
Yeah,
So
I could have told you that.
yeah, I know. I was going to pivot too, but I didn't. So I'm back to a streak of 0. My streak ended at 6, which is still the longest streak on the year, but you have a good shot to catch it now because you're at 4. And so you have 9 total and I have 8 total. So I'm owning the streak, but you're owning the overall. So this becomes important because if you get this right again, you could extend your streak.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas for me, I'm just trying to get my picks right to get like a total number that's better than you. So that said, based on who you've taken and the matchups that you see this week, who is your pick here as your survivor? Lock it in.
Oof. Trying to see if
pressure.
I've taken them. Have I taken them? I did take them. Looking at the Vikings there, but
I was just thinking that's who I was going to go with if you didn't take them, and you can't. Perfect.
No,
well, that's mine.
Can't.
I'm going to take the Vikings over the Colts. But I'll give you the floor back now because you got to figure out who that is.
Ooh, this is tough. Yeah, just looking at so many,
man. You've taken so many good teams, right? Your Eagles, Bills, Chiefs, Vikings, Packers, Ravens, Giants, Jaguars, Raiders, Commanders, Bengals, Browns, Cowboys are all off the table.
Oh.
So you're looking at, man, who can you even take then, right?
Oh.
Well, there's one that stands out to me, actually. But we'll see who you decide.
I'll go with the Steelers.
Okay. Negative. You're good to go there.
Who are you thinking?
Who was I thinking?
Yeah.
The 49ers over the Seahawks tomorrow night.
Oh, yeah.
That's who I was thinking because I still think that they're a really good team despite Brock Purdy being at the helm there and losing Debo. Okay, Steelers over the Panthers. It is. That's going to be a big one for you now. Panthers have just come off back-to-back wins. They knocked off my Broncos. Then they went on the bye week, came back, knocked off Seattle. So looks like you're going to be a Steelers fan for tomorrow, for the weekend.
Yes, I am.
Upset picks. Neither of us did too well here. I took a shot at seeing if Tom Brady could renew his love of California and knock off the 49ers, and that was absolute blowout. You took a shot that maybe the Cardinals could upset the Patriots, and once Kyler went down, that had no chance as well. So, who's your upset this week? Who are you looking at thinking, I bet they can take them down?
I think the Falcons can take down the Saints. They got the Saints favorite at 4.5. I don't know.
I like it.
Maybe I just haven't been paying attention to the Saints, and they're a better team than I know of. So
no, they're bad. They haven't played well. They probably don't deserve to be favored by 4.5, but that's because the only reason they're favored by that much, aside from being at home, is Desmond Ridder, the rookie, is taking over for Marcus Mariota as the starter. So I don't think they're giving a lot of faith in the rookie in his first game on the road.
I did not know that. That would be a big upset, actually. Oh man. Well, I don't think I'm going to win that one.
We'll see. Maybe you know something we don't about Desmond Ridder.
A little bit ago.
Maybe young Ritter's the key to the whole thing there.
It's fun watching some of these teams throw those guys in there and see what they can do.
What's the point, right? I mean, Mariota's not the future of the franchise.
No.
Ridder might be. You might as well at least just take a shot and find out if you have something there.
End the season on a positive note,
So the Browns are still currently favored because they're at home, and the Ravens are, coming there and probably got Tyler Huntley if he's healthy. And I mean, they don't have a lot of other options, but I have still very little faith in the Browns, so I'm going to take the Ravens as the upset there.
Is that a Saturday game?
Saturday, one of 3 Saturday games.
Looking forward to that. It's cold weather out, so what else is there to do? Kind of just sit inside, warm up.
Yeah, that means because you got the back, so you can do 9 hours of football on Saturday, and then you can do 9 hours of football on Sunday.
Oh yeah, you can. It's awesome, and you really get to watch the games on Saturday too. Because sometimes we tend to watch the red zone just because of fantasy. This is the time of year where you kind of can separate some of these teams. I mean, the Ravens and Browns is interesting. It's
divisional
interesting.
matchup.
The Ravens still are in a playoff hunt, and
they're
who knows
one seed in the division right now.
Yeah. So, and first game home for the returning Browns and their quarterback. So that's going to be interesting. But that 9:50 or the 8:15 Eastern, 9:15 Atlantic time game, Dolphins and Bills. I'm excited.
Can't wait.
I'm excited. That's what a way to end
Buffalo.
Brilliant way to end it. So
that's gonna be a fun, stormy game.
Yeah,
it's a big one, man. Miami's sitting right behind them in the standings, but yeah.
Did you say it's supposed to snow for that game?
They said it's supposed to be cold and snowy, but I haven't checked in to see the weather report. That was yesterday, I think I heard that.
It'd be something if it's really cold because it would be the total opposite of the Bills-Dolphins game where guys were going down because of the heat,
That's
and
the
now you're
thing,
going
man.
to the extreme cold. That's a good storyline right there.
Well, it's one of the only losses Buffalo has this year was to the
Yeah.
Dolphins, right? And that was, like you said, in Miami, in the heat. Now the Dolphins get to come to their world and their weather and try to show that they could still win. And I don't think that's going to work out well.
Whew. You know, I'm starting to think maybe Waddle isn't the play this week.
Well, I mean, what kills speed? Snow, right? Like,
if it's snowing,
weather.
yeah, to me, you always got to go with the running backs in those games.
Yeah. Well, and even what do you want to do? Yeah, like usually you want to pound the ball with Josh Allen. He's probably the best running back on the field at that point. So
yeah.
Or those like short throws, right?
And Jeff Wilson is banged up, isn't he, for the Dolphins?
Yeah, it could be the Raheem Mostert show.
So
he might be a better play this week.
Might try something different.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about why you can try something different with our own playoffs update here. So we got it all figured out more or less here. I shouldn't say all figured out. So I won last week. I'm 11-3. I got 1 game left here this week against OMG. And I've clinched the 1 seed because of my record and my point total. So even if Dan were to win and I lose, we'd have the same record, but I have a 79-point lead, and points is the tiebreaker. So unless somehow his team outscores mine by 80 points this week and wins, I'll be just fine.
Strange things have happened.
Dan, by default, clinches the 2 seed because he's got a 2-game cushion on you and Jay.
Mm-hmm.
You are currently sitting in the 3 seed because you have 23 points up on Jay. If you win, you get the 3 seed. Or if both you and Jay lose, you get the 3 seed.
Nice.
So for Jay to get the 3 seed, he needs to win and you need to lose. Or if he were to win and you win, or lose and you lose, he would need to gain 24 points on you to catch you. So
right. So almost it's kind of, I'm playing Evan, but I'm also kind of playing Jay.
Exactly.
It's kind of fun. It's fun that way.
It is. I mean, playing for that 3 seed just to say, hey, I want to finish as high as I can and get I don't know if it's the better matchup or not. I guess you get to play Dan instead of me, but it's up to you what you decide about that. I think that's the better matchup, obviously, because it's me. But
of course you're going to say that.
Yeah, right. But yeah, it would shape up, and then it could make for an interesting Final Four there. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, for sure.
Battle for the number 1 pick. If Don loses, or if OMG loses and doesn't
Don doesn't
lose. Don doesn't gain 32 points. So basically, she's 32 points below him. So she's a game below him. So even if he loses and she wins, she would have to gain 32 points on him. So
it can be done.
It can be done, but odds are she's going to get the number 1 pick. And then Craig and Evan will be the number 5 and 6 seed.
Yeah.
So matchups then. That's why sort of it's a little it's got a little different vibe to it this week because it's not so highly competitive. We'll still make our picks because it is kind of intriguing. We're getting close to the end of the pick. We've picked 52 each. I'm at 31. You're at 23. So it could be a chance for you to maybe gain some ground this week. So let's walk through them quick. Me versus OMG. Any chance you think that OMG pulls out a crazy upset this week?
I don't. I think I'm going to go with you.
Yeah,
I know you're going with you, but for like the last 3 or 4 weeks, I've tried to gain ground on you, and it just hasn't worked.
No, you got to pick who you think is going to win, even if we pick the same. I think ultimately that's the strategy here.
Yeah. It's been fun, though.
Don versus Kreger. Don's team is a mess. Debo's hurt. Kyler's hurt.
Yeah.
Craig's going to get all his players back from bye. So
Yeah,
I think that that's a lock as well.
I'll go with Craig on that one.
Yeah. As will I. Now we've got the two interesting ones. So we've got Jay versus Dan. So this is kind of fun.
Go with Dan.
Just put the karma out there in the universe.
I'll take a look at it. Let's take a look at it.
Let's take a look. Yeah, you're probably going to go that way, but
I'm probably going to go that way.
Dan's still got his lineup set, right? Like he's not going to not try to win, just like I'm not going to not try to win, even though we've kind of got nothing to gain from winning. You still want to win because it feels good. You get a better record.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, he's got Hurts, Cooper, Godwin, Eckler, Swift, Kelsey, Etienne, McKinnon, Butker, and Tampa versus the Bengals. Jay's got Geno, AJ Brown, McLaurin, Henry, Jacobs, Andrews, Pacheco, Brian Robinson, Tucker, and then Kansas City versus Houston.
I got to think Dan's going to drop that Tampa Bay defense.
You would think, But
maybe not.
Maybe he's not going to pivot because of the situation, but he should pivot.
Yeah, if Higgins and Boyd are both out, I mean, Jamar Chase can only do so much, and
I would still pivot if I was him, but I see your point.
Yeah, like I can see. Yeah, I would go somewhere different, but I also get. It's also last week. I mean, you might take some risks. Why not?
Yeah. Okay, so you're gonna say Dan. Do I want to take Jay to be contrarian, or do I want to just try to get it right? I don't see. One more look. All right, I'll keep it in. Jay to be contrarian, just to see. Let's put that out there for you. And then we've got you versus Evan. So we'll see how much pride Evan has left. He's taken the L. He's had some tough losses, losing some players down the stretch here, but I suspect he'll still field a solid lineup, which it looks like he's already got a decent one out there.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys are favored. Matchup's projected to be fairly close.
It does. I went ahead and my risky move for the week is the Denver D.
Arizona.
I also went ahead and did a little bit of looking ahead, and I saw that Tennessee's going to be playing in Houston. So I picked up that Tennessee D. Maybe it's one of those, pickups that it might get dropped. I don't know. We'll see how they do this week. But yeah, those are some moves that I made. But I'm going to keep it pretty simple. I might pull out Waddle, though.
Yeah.
I might pull out Waddle just because I'm going to have to keep an eye on that weather, because if it is going to be snowy,
it has this. Oh, here, it has a snowflake beside it on the Yahoo thing. It says snow with a high of 35 degrees Fahrenheit and a low of 27. Oof. There's a 49% chance. So for folks that are in our world, that's 1.7 Celsius is the high, minus 2.8 is the low. So that's not super cold.
Not when
but for football, it's cold.
Yeah. The worst is when you build up that sweat. I don't know how guys do it, and then they go and cool down, and that's the worst.
It's really more about how snowy it is at this point.
Yeah, I don't Waddle in there.
If it was fluctuating between 0 and above 0, then you might get rain and sleet and kind of be sloppy. That might be what you get. So, we'll see what that turns out like, but it does have the snowflake beside it. All right, so I assume you're going to go with yourself?
Yeah. I'm going to go with myself on that one.
And I'll take Evan to be contrarian. I think it's close enough that anything could happen. Okay. So that's the matchups. That's where we're at in terms of playoffs. You, me, Dan, Jay going to be lining up next week for something serious. Knocking that 4 down to 2. So we'll see when we get to that where we're at. But I'm excited for that. There's some good games, some good matchups. And we've arrived at that time. Oh, we're skipping ahead. Come on. Have a drink on me. I don't know if that was a cheers or a Stone Cold Steve Austin is about to enter the ring.
I wish. Oh man, is he here?
Yeah.
Is he Stone Cold? Do you think he has
sound
that
will
like
forever be in my
every
brain.
time he goes into a room? Do you think he has that like just automatically plays as he enters the door? I would definitely get that installed in my house if I was him.
Even worse, you know what? If he's at a party and like glass breaks, does he like get into go mode?
Just grabs the first
like,
person around him.
Shit, he's like, oh, stunner.
I hope I'm the one that gets stunnered. That would be amazing. I'd probably break my neck.
Sweet. All right. So we wanted to take a look at the NFL playoffs. It's playoff standings, so to speak. Not the playoffs haven't started, obviously. But so in the NFC, the Eagles have clinched a playoff spot. They are the first team, which you had kind of referenced to earlier. They're sitting at 12-1. So after that, we got the 3 division leaders, the 10-3 Vikings, the 9-4 49ers, and the one of these things is not like the other 6-7 Buccaneers.
Yeah.
And then trailing them in the wild card spot, we got the Cowboys at 10-3. So like we said, there's a 2-game gap between them and the Eagles. So if that stays the same, then that game next week is going to be absolutely massive. Because if the Eagles win, then they lock down the tiebreaker, and that turns into a 3-game gap, which thus means it's a 4-game gap. And like I said, it's the division's over. The NFC is probably over. If the Cowboys win, it goes to a 1-game gap. And I'm not sure who would have the tiebreaker. I think it comes down to division record after that. And the one loss that the Eagles have is against Washington. So that's in division. I don't believe that the Cowboys have lost to the Giants or Washington. So, but they would have lost to the only lost to the Eagles. So yeah, so there's a chance the Cowboys could actually catch them for the division lead.
Yeah, that would be huge.
Yeah. So important games coming up. Obviously, this week you still have to get past, your opponent here. You can't get jumping too far ahead. The Cowboys played the Jaguars, so I mean it should be a win there for them. And then, pardon?
How many wild card teams make it again? 2?
3. 7 teams total.
That's right. I couldn't remember. I knew it changed, but
yeah. And the Eagles got the Bears this week, so I mean they both should win. But, can't take anything for granted in the NFL.
No, you cannot.
And then, ironically, the 2 teams that are next play each other this week. The 7-5-1 Washington football team, Commanders, plays the 7-5-1 New York Giants. So one of them will move to 8-5-1, unless they tie again, because they are the only tie. Can you imagine the same 2 teams tie each other twice in a season? That can't have ever happened.
That would be absolutely horrible. Oh, throw some money down on that.
Really? Yeah, man.
What are the odds? Are pretty high.
Jesus. Yeah. So assuming one of them wins, which is what I would expect to happen, they'll move up, and the other one will move out of the wild card spot, and then you'll get one of the other teams that's chasing them to jump in. So
if they tie again, they don't deserve to be in the playoffs.
No, they really don't. Like that's just. And teams that are chasing them, 7-6 Seahawks and 6-7 Lions are the next ones up.
Wow, the Lions.
Yeah, man. And then you've also got, because the Buccaneers are so bad at 6-7, the 5-8 Panthers and 5-8 Falcons are still technically alive. So wild times in the NFC, my man.
Yeah. Wow. Could you imagine Detroit making the playoffs?
Oh my goodness, they would be so excited. I mean,
Oh.
and I actually think they could give a team a run for their money. Like
Yeah.
the Buccaneers getting in, or even the Giants or football team getting in. I don't think they can beat anybody. I don't think
No.
there's the placeholder for whoever gets to beat them in the first round.
Exactly, yeah.
But the Lions, man, I mean, they would take on the 2 seed, which at this point is shaping up to be the 49ers. I mean, that could be a fun game, right?
Whew.
At home in San Francisco, hosting the high flying Lions. That'd be fun.
Oh, wow. I mean, yeah, I like their coach. I like that he's an emotional guy. We haven't seen too much emotion out of him this season. Not like last season.
It's been a bit.
There's been a bit.
Not quite as you're right. Not quite as crazy as last season where he was crying and.
Yeah, he really showed a lot last season. But I like that. I like that he did that, and I think guys play for him. So I like that coach.
Me too. All right, you ready to move over to the AFC?
Let's do it.
So the Bills are sitting at the 1 seed because they have the tiebreaker by beating the Chiefs. So both of them are 10-3. So certainly that 1 seed is very much up for grabs. Chiefs are 10-3, as we said. The Ravens are currently in the lead of their division at 9-4, but they're tied with the Bengals at 9-4. So again, that could very easily flip. The Titans are leading their division at 7-6 because everybody else is terrible, even though they just lost to the Jaguars, losing a game. So they gained 2 games on the Titans, but they still are not leading the division because everybody's just terrible. Wild cards are the Bengals that we talked about at 9-4, the Dolphins at 8-5, who obviously have that huge game against the Bills, not only to stay in the wild card, but to close that gap with the Bills to 1 game. And then the Patriots are 7-6, which is kind of mind blowing to me that they're sitting there in that last wild card spot. I don't feel like they're a very good team, but I guess that speaks to the lack of other good teams.
For sure.
And so other wild card teams that could catch the Patriots. So they're 7-6. The Chargers are 7-6. The Jets are 7-6.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a fun one there. If we go Dolphins, Patriots, Jets, Chargers. 2 of the 4 get in. Who are your 2?
Dolphins, Patriots, Jets, and Chargers. I think the Chargers sneak their way in there.
Okay.
Even though they're banged up. And the Dolphins.
Dolphins. Okay. Who do the Chargers have left? I was trying to remember the schedule. So they've got the Titans, very winnable game. The Colts, very winnable game. The Rams, very winnable game. The Broncos, okay, I'm with you on the Chargers.
Yeah, I didn't know that they were playing them, but that just...
Man, they could go 4-0 down the stretch here. Jeepers. Dolphins have Bills, Packers, okay. Patriots, I think so. Jets, man. Whew. In division, eh? That's 3 out of 4 games in division to wrap up the schedule, and the Jets have got to be similar then. Jets got the Lions, which is no gimme. Then they get to beat up on the Jags, Seahawks, and then the Dolphins in that last week. That last week with the Dolphins and Jets could be a huge game.
Winner gets in.
Yeah, and then what about the Patriots? Who do they have left? Well, they get your Raiders this week. And the Bengals, Dolphins, and Bills. I don't think the Patriots are getting in.
Oof, that's a tough one.
Yeah. So, I mean, I definitely think the Chargers, that's a beautiful schedule. They're going to get in, I would guess. But, yeah, I would say probably the Dolphins, but it's close between them and the Jets.
Yeah, that's going to be fun to watch.
It's good news for the Bengals. The Bengals got a tough schedule too, though. They play the Bucks this week, but then they got the Patriots, Bills, and Ravens. So,
in that Ravens game, Lamar could be back for that, so...
Could be, yeah.
And if he is, I mean, that's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah, Bills versus Chiefs too, right? Like, Bills got the Dolphins, then they get a week off, so to speak, with the Bears, but then they got Bengals and Patriots. And the Chiefs, on the other hand, they're going to have the Broncos and Raiders probably on their schedule and beat up on them. Watch. Yeah. Broncos and Raiders are the last two. Oh my God, Texans and Seahawks. Jesus, they got a cakewalk of a schedule. So they're probably walking.
Seahawks would give them the most trouble.
Seahawks is the most dangerous team. You're right. So so we can see the Chiefs take the 1 seed, man, if the Bills aren't careful.
Watch Denver and Vegas will win those games.
Right? Can you imagine? I'd be all right with that.
I'd be all right with it too.
Just take them down a notch, man. Those are some interesting schedules, though. Definitely the Chargers have the easiest, but it gets pretty dicey for everybody there. And that AFC East division with all 4 of those teams playing each other, that's going to be real interesting.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. I love that there's so much. It's so close this year. I mean, minus Philadelphia really taking off, and I forget where I saw it, but they've got a young group of core guys like that they've signed long term. I mean, they could be, and they got what the first round pick somewhere. Somewhere.
New Orleans is pick, man, and New Orleans keeps losing.
Yeah,
I think at the last check it was. Here I could find the standings. They have the 5th overall pick right now.
I mean,
that could get better or worse, but it's going to be a top 10 pick.
Yeah, you could be looking at a start of a dynasty in Philadelphia. I'm just saying.
And they don't need much, right? Like, their secondary's good. They've got a good core of running backs with Gainwell, Sanders, and Boston Scott.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Hurts, Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert at tight end. I mean, maybe you get a third receiver. They'll probably grab it, but you don't need to grab them that high. You probably grab a third receiver in the 2nd round. I'm sure there's somewhere but the O-line's really solid too. Probably on the D-line to stop the run. I know they signed Sue and the other fella, Vance Joseph. No, not Vance Joseph. He's the coach. Lindell Joseph. They brought them in as free agents to try to do that, but stopping the run's probably the only thing they don't do well right now. So maybe that's who they grab as like a really good defensive end, and they tend to go pretty high if there's a good one.
That's true. So
I'm no NFL draft mock board expert, but it's just a quick thought there. That might be fun to watch too.
Yeah, it could be watching the start of a dynasty right now.
It's very possible, man.
Yep. So gotta love that.
Excited.
It is
getting there. Football. The playoffs. Big games. These games matter now too. Like, I know all games matter, but like, even though every game is worth 1 win, a game this time of year is just worth so much more.
It's like we said it before. It's the witching hour. It's the witching month. It really is.
That's right. This is right.
Love it.
When playoff teams get eliminated and eliminated teams become playoff teams.
It's going to happen. Detroit, let's go.
Let's go, man. I'd love to see Detroit get in there. That'd be fun. All right. We got one order of business left. And we've already alluded to a couple of them, so I don't think we'll have too hard of a time choosing, but it's more a matter of which one do you like the best is your game of the week.
I think you're going to choose this game, so I'm going to go maybe a little off the board here. I'm going to go with Detroit and New York Jets.
I'm intrigued by that as well.
I'm really interested in that game.
It's a great way to find out how good are two teams that we're not sure how good they are.
I mean, a year ago, these two teams playing each other at this time of year, no one's watching.
No.
This time, people are going to be watching.
What was the game last week that I feel like we referenced a game? Oh, the Dolphins and Chargers was the game last week that we talked about. Like, that'll tell us a bit about both teams. We're trying to find out, where they're currently at. The Dolphins are banged up a bit, but they got, the score looks okay, but they actually got dominated. The Chargers just couldn't finish drives there. But the Chargers look like a much better team. So that'll be interesting to see, Lions on the road in New York against the Jets, and that's awesome defense. How does that play out? And can they overcome that? Because if they can overcome that and knock off the Jets, then I think people are going to really take them seriously.
Absolutely, because, I mean, that's a really good defense there. So if you can go and do that, man, you can play spoiler in the playoffs for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, they can go hang with anybody, especially as it gets colder and defense becomes more of a factor. And there's a lot of teams in there, like Miami's obviously not, but like, you know, Kansas City gets a little weathery,
Oh, yeah.
Buffalo very weathery.
Yeah.
You know, Patriots are in the mix right now. Baltimore and Cincinnati, you know, also not
Yeah.
hot anyway. So,
Nope.
yeah, I think, you know, you left me the low hanging fruit, so I'll take it. I'll take the Dolphins and Bills. They're both.
I mean, it pretty much is the game of the week.
Yeah, it's definitely it is the showcase of two really good teams. There's not really. I mean, like you said, there's some other ones that are interesting, right? Like the 49ers Seahawks is actually a huge game for that division because the
Yes.
Seahawks are trying to stay alive for the division hunt and the playoffs, where the 49ers are trying to lock up that division. Same with the Ravens Browns, right? Not so much playoff implications for the Browns, but they have a chance to knock the Ravens out of the 1 seed if the Bengals win. So, you know, that one matters a lot too. Sadly, the Saints Falcons has implications because the Falcons are still trying to catch the Bucks.
Titans, Chargers.
Yeah, Titans Chargers are two teams in a playoff spot. So
Giants, Washington.
yeah, that's a big one, right?
That's
The
a big
repeat of the
game.
tie.
Yeah, it's a big game if they don't tie. It's
Man, I can't. You're right. I should throw down $5 or $10 or something on a tie. Just
Yeah.
if God
Oh,
forbid it hit, oh my God, I don't know
the
what the
odds.
payout's
Man.
going to be, but it'd have to be pretty crazy.
Yeah.
That'd be good. Oh man, I'm pumped.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's a good week.
It's going to be a fun one. All right. Gibson fantasyfootball.com, Gibson_FF on Twitter, Gibson Fantasy Football, all one word, Instagram, YouTube, Podbean, and Spotify. Anything else before we get out of here, my man?
No, just enjoy the fun weekend and just whatever happens in your playoffs, know that there's always next year.
Yeah. Good luck to all, and to all a good night.
Yes. Okay, Santa.
Clear eyes, full heart, can't lose.
Love you, Mom.